My name is Teresita Blanco, dear sister, and today we're reading Saturnastra Loki. This is chapter 10, part 1. Once the fellow was taken away, Alida asked more to herself, what could her cousin to try to take his own life? Idleness, I suppose, said Loki thoughtlessly. Idleness, asked Ingrid, staring at him sternly. Haven't you noticed that most of the humans that do those sort of things have a little too much time on their hands, and they get all powered because nobody depends on him. And poor people are too overworked and starving themselves to bother in order to give vent to such madness. Kind of ironic, don't you think? And the humans who have the means to survive end up throwing it all away. That's something very mean-spirited of you to say, Loki, and you do not know what you speak of, said Alida. Loki narrowed her eyes, and he decided not to argue on the issue that much. She could tell he had plenty to say, however he chose to give her the silent treatment, and Loki was not the person to argue with somebody that he considered a fool, and they ended with this sour note, with each retiring to their own respective rooms without having an actual conversation. And Loki had pretended to retire to his room to sleep. Instead, he locked the door and he changed into the form of a beautiful maiden in a gorgeous pearly pink outfit, and after taking a moment to put on his face, so to speak, with a red rouge and lipstick, Loki went to explore the city by himself, and Alida was angry at Loki because she thought he was angry at her. And Loki was not one to get angry at idle chatter, and since Alida was too angry to sleep and too ashamed to ask Loki out, she twisted and turned her back in her impotent fury, and close to midnight she became far too exhausted to care. And she amused herself while playing with the hula hoop and occasionally jumping out of the balcony onto the roof of other houses and then back to her room. And when soon all the small dragons joining her games, and with more playfellow, Alida's mood improved slightly. And this happy mood was short-lived when she saw from the floor below her sister walking in the streets barefoot in her nightgown, and finding Alida said, not again. What's the matter? Asked one of the dragonists. My sister, she's sleepwalking again, as Loki calls it, said Alida. That's normal, said one of the dragonists. Really? Asked Alida, surprised. That dream world is far too strong here than in other places, and humans are sensitive to it, and they can't help but to walk around from time to time, and we have stronger self-control, so we stay put. It is the best way to avoid unnecessary injury, said the dragoness. And coming closer to the ground, Alida saw a group of very tired-looking dragonites trailing after sleepwalkers, and there were about 31 roaming the street, though indoors there was 391. And Alida asked the dragoness, why don't you bother about the sleepwalkers? Because it is the night's turn to bother about them. That is why, said one of the dragonists. I see, said Alida. And besides, they should have not managed to get out of their house in the first place. So clumsy, even after all this time, commented another. So like in the street, it's like a bunch of sleepwalkers. Like 31, but more than one is a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And indoors there's like 400 of them, but their families were able to keep them put so that they don't hurt themselves while walking around. Alida pondered on whether she should follow after her sister, and in the end she decided to go back to playing. And down in the ground, Loki saw Ingrid roaming about the street, and she was chanting over and over, Voria, Voria, and she stopped and she stared at a wall with listless wide eyes, but unseeing eyes, and she opened her mouth wide and gave a long single scream. Ah! One of the windows opened as one of the residents yelled at the guards, by the gods, put that thing away, we are trying to sleep. The guy was not too much in a hurry to react. Again, Ingrid took a deep breath and gave a long, high-pitched scream till it seemed like her vocal cords would explode, or she would utterly run out of breath. She would, the loudest scream there ever was. The third time Loki heard something that he had not heard before coming out of her lips. It was her first pitch perfect note. As if calibrating a piano with a hammer, Ingrid painfully spilled out from herself one exquisite note out of another. She was searching for something, grasping, looking, and eventually she held both her hands towards her throat and she opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Inside, Loki commented, sheesh, I knew she wanted to be a singer, but there was no need to take this overboard. She tried singing in her walking spells. Whatever do you mean, darling? Asked the gentleman who had his arm around Loki's waist. Like, don't forget that Loki's in like the shape of a chick right now. Nothing, let's go, said Loki, departing with the gentleman while wearing the visage of a lovely lady. And whenever Loki wanted to put on a feminine airs, he always leaned towards blondes. It reminded him of someone that no longer existed, and he put it on her visage and acted the way he thought she should act whenever he was feeling melancholy, and he danced with his companion at the cabaret known as the Shepherdess Follies. And unlike bars, wine was the drink of choice at the cabaret, and it was always served with a meal, and the dishes were always politely changed for water whenever the guests were too cheery. And there was no formal musical performance, but every so often a group of blind musicians would play at the Follies. And his companion offered to pay for the food and drinks, but Loki politely declined, and after dancing for 3 hours, both went their separate ways. And with Loki having treated his melancholy, and his companion his loneliness and isolation, and he found Ingrid walking on water, with her hair and dress in a murky mess, and behind her a couple of guys looked rather angry. And smiling coldly, Loki said, "Releve always said one should not pester sleepwalkers." "Be silent, outsider," said the guard. "Don't act so cocky. You are a god after all, and not a knight, sir, and your position is not as secure as you might hope," said Loki. "So it would appear," sighed the guard. "It wasn't my first choice to play custodia to a roaming madman, but alas, there isn't much of anything else I can do to earn a meal." "You could try carpentry," suggested Loki. "Yeah, sure. With what trees, might I ask?" said the guard. Loki looked about, and then he noticed that the area was mostly grassland, and a portion of it was being cultivated for food. And based on some of the burning fields, Loki guessed that Sibila used shifts in agriculture, and he knew from observation that they used crop rotation. And he said more to himself, "I think I already know the answer, but even so, I would prefer to hear it from you. Are you still talking to me, or have I been talking to myself all this time?" asked the guard, giving a sigh of frustration. "Time, bro?"
7 minutes, 30 seconds.
It wouldn't be the first time, I suppose, but at least while you're here, you live in relative peace, said Loki, addressing the guard. "Peace, yes. Anyone can achieve peace with strict codes and punishment systems," said the guard. "And I would advise you do not step out of line too much. There are unseen eyes always watching." "One could say the same thing about literally everywhere else," suggested Loki. "Yes, but divine punishment is always far away, and people tend to comport when punishment is instantaneous, and the change can be rather tense for those not used to walking on thin ice," said the guard. When the alternative is starvation, there really is not much choice, is there?" said Loki. Loki then jumped off the bridge, and he fetched Ingrid, and putting her over his shoulder, he showed him back over to the bridge. And as he jumped, he noticed a strange scribbling in one of the bricks of the bridge, and he placed Ingrid on the bridge, and then he gave another cursory look below. And the guy, glancing at Loki, said, "Ah yes, the bricks. They all have some quirky saying or another. Most of them are in dragon script, and others in language very similar to Argonian." Staring at the guard, Loki asked, "What's that language like?" "I don't know. Bersame took everything from us, our homes, our families, our culture, even our spoken language, and I only remember listening to a few words when I was small. But I was short-lived, and my poor mother lost her tongue because of it," said the guard. So like, and the woman was speaking in a foreign tongue, they cut her tongue off. Because that was how the old king used to roll. Time, bro?
6 minutes.
Seems a bit excessive, but I can understand why it was done. In the end of the matters is the knowledge itself and not the language that it was used to convey the information, and people tend to hold on to such triviality, and there can be no understanding between individuals as long as people insist on having different languages, said Loki. "Huh. The enforcer said the same thing," said the guard. "Whatever, dude. Good night," said Loki, seeing as though Ingrid was starting to walk back to her bedroom. She always found her way back to bed before the clock struck 3 a.m. As Loki trod behind her, he slowly shed his feminine skin and acquired his old form, and his clothing melted and swirled and assuming the shape of his black hair and curled around his frame. And as he retreated, it revealed his white pajamas, white socks, and sandals, and one of the dragons watching his wardrobe shape commented, "That's a pretty neat magic tree." "I wish," said Loki sadly. And he placed his hand in his hair, feeling only with his fingertips the gimmick stuff, and he left it safely hidden there inside the area within his hair. And he was not one to leave his personal items in the physical world where they could easily be stolen. And he eventually returned to his bedroom after making certain that Ingrid was safe in bed. Time?
5 minutes, 1 second.
When Loki saw himself completely alone, he breathed a sigh of relief, and he grew tense when he saw a pair of orange eyes staring at him. And it was only for a moment that he noticed the sight, and after biting slightly the inside of his mouth, Loki resumed his automaton routine, and instead of lying down staring at the room, he took a bath and he changed into other pajamas, and he combed his hair dry, and then he nestled in bed and he closed his eyes, pretending to sleep. And one of the dragon in Preface of Alida noticed her staring at Loki, and he asked in children's usual direct fashion, "Why were you staring at the blue man for such a long time?" "Wait, no reason," said Alida, blushing. "Oh, it's that," said another dragon. No, whatever do you mean by that, said Alida, avoiding the question. "Why must you humans be so dishonest?" said the first dragon that had spoken to her. "I'm not a human," said Alida. "Well, you act like one," said the first dragon. "Acting and being are two different things," insisted Alida, changing the subject. "That's debatable," commented Heborax. And turning around, Alida saw Heborax perched behind her in a nearby rooftop, and she had not heard him land, and it seemed that all the roofs in the human habitat were flat and without shingles, and this allowed the dragons to laugh and not perturb the sleeping humans. Well, let's say a very bad man acted his whole life like a good fellow, never deviating. As far as the world is concerned, he is a good man, even though he is rotten to the core," said Heborax. "In order for one to be bad, one has to do bad things," insisted Alida. "That is also debatable," said Heborax, and Alida was far too focused on the tirade of the old dragon to notice the dragon is deserting the rooftop. "If actions define our essence, then I would once again stipulate that you are human." "Well, I do see your point," said Alida, taking it to heart. That you saw, right? You saw how he gave her the turnaround, you know? Mm-hmm. "Well, do you, little miss?" said Heborax, looking somewhat disappointed. He grinned a bit as if struck by a new idea, and then he said, "Now on to the matter at hand. You have developed a certain affinity towards this blue fellow Loki, have you not?" "I don't know," said Alida. "I have seen other maidens acting foolishly as I do, and it nauseates me to think that I may suffer from their same affectations." "And pray do tell, what is it that you find so fascinating about him?" asked Heborax. "Well, I never told Loki this, but I saw him once 15 years ago, and he was a small, shriveled wee thing with his long raven hair and blue skin. And I was not the person I once was, but I was, and I lived as a snake, and one of the children near him was pulling the legs of lizards and watching them die, and when Loki saw this, he grabbed a nearby rock and he smashed his brains out. And I thought he was really cool, 'cause us scaly people, we don't get a lot of love," said Alida. "Huh," said Heborax, snorting a smoke. "Us scaly people, what a silly little creature. We are dragons, and dragons have always been feared and respected. You and I are in two different planes. And did you not think for a moment that Loki was looking for an excuse to kill?" "I hadn't thought about it," said Alida, lowering her voice, and she then thought that there was also the time that he went to kill because he imagined a vulture had told him to do so. Time?
1 minute, 30 seconds.
She rattled her brain for a couple of minutes, trying to make excuses for him. "There is a problem with you little humans," said Heborax. "You get enamored with one aspect of a person and a desire to change the rest. Just as it is a sin to clip the wings of a bird, so too is to us a warrior not to seek battle." Alida was quiet, taking everything that Heborax said to heart, and since she was not saying anything, Heborax assumed that the conversation was over. And the following morning, Alida had come to a decision, and so had Loki, and she had decided to express her feelings to him, while Loki had decided to go on a little exploration by himself, and he wanted to visit the market and stuff. And as soon as she came downstairs, she asked her sister Ingrid, "Where is Loki?" "He went to market to buy stuff," answered Ingrid, sipping her coffee. "Oh," said Alida, disappointed, and then she said, smiling, "Wanna go to the market with me then?" Time?
Less than a minute.
Alright, we'll leave it here. Bye-bye.